Well, there's always something to talk about, Jason, and this week is certainly no exception. I once again like to thank you for having me on. It's been, I think this is about 6 or 7 weeks in a row that we've been doing this now. Doesn't seem like to me that there's any end to the news. This is a big week in terms of a lot of different initiatives that the governor rolled out. With the state of Wisconsin received approximately $2 billion with the B from the federal government under the CARES Act. And the governor rolled out a lot of initiatives this week. I'll just kind of go through some of them, with not in great detail, but just in terms of the number and what the money was allocated for. There was $25 million that will be used for rental assistance of people who were affected in the crisis, and another $50 million will be allocated to child care facilities. Another $15 million will be allocated to Wisconsin farmers. There is a program under the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, another small business program that receives $75 million, and they will be actively looking for places, small businesses, to allocate that in the relatively near future. And then there was also $100 million that was allocated for long-term care facilities. So it was a lot of money flowing into the economy from Madison this week, and of course after the closure for all of these weeks, certainly that is hopefully helpful to a lot of people who certainly are in need of that. And of course, we also opened up for business. I think since we last talked, actually, there was the ruling by the Supreme Court that said that essentially that everything had to go back right away, open up with no regulations. And when the Republicans took this to court, they actually asked the court to have a stay. In other words, have a period of time, 6 or 7 days, to kind of come up with some protocols in terms of opening retail and opening restaurants, opening bars. And the Supreme Court decided not to do that. And consequently, and then there was a short period of time where they were open and then closed, and now of course they're open again. And I think it's unfortunate that there was no protocols in place in terms of the opening. I think that would have made it a lot more. I think that people would have felt a lot more comfortable going out into the public again if there had been protocols in place. And I hope that this doesn't do. I hope it doesn't do two things. First of all, I hope that it doesn't mean that we are going to experience severe spikes in cases. And my fear is that we may very well see significant spikes, and we may actually be beginning to see those as we speak. And the second thing is I hope that it doesn't lead to kind of a long-term suspicion of people that it's not safe to be outside, and because they don't know whether or not there's going to be strict protocols. And at this stage of the contagion, I think that people are probably wise to be cautious. We have to remember that we are actually in one of the hottest spots in the country right now. I believe the last I saw, Kenosha was like 7 or 8, and Racine was right up there as well. And with the number of people that poured into Kenosha from Illinois and other parts, I'm just afraid that we are going to see even a greater number of cases. And I might as well give the update on the cases as long as we're on that. As of yesterday in Kenosha, there's been 921 positive cases. 21 people have now died in Kenosha County. In the state, there have been 13,885 cases and 489 deaths. So, we are far, far from out of the woods, and I think that it's certainly incumbent upon us to make sure that we are exercising caution. I think it's certainly advisable when you're out in public and certainly inside to be wearing a mask. I think that we have to remember to wash our hands frequently, and I think that we need to make sure that we stay 6 feet away from people, that we isolate, and we got to remember that indeed we still are safer at home. We never know what next week's going to bring, but I'm sure that next Friday or whenever we get together again, that we'll have a new set of numbers, and hopefully not a lot of a spike to those numbers. But I'm afraid that that's certainly a possibility. I'm going to go ahead and close again with the crisis hotline, because we really know that this is like a long period of time for people to be in their home. A lot of times not being able to talk to their family or see their loved ones, and we're all social beings, and we are used to being around people and being sociable and seeing our friends, and that hasn't necessarily been the case. So if you're having a hard time, I'd like to make sure to have you jot this down, and that's 1-800-985-5990 in terms of people being able to access somebody just to talk to. And also, if you're looking for help in terms of any of these new programs or unemployment, and the unemployment admittedly has been very problematic. The huge number of people applying for unemployment, the 50-year-old software that the state was using that has not been replaced, has not been able to keep up. There's been a couple hundred people transferred to those new positions, and new people have been hired. But all that said, it doesn't make any difference when people still have not received their unemployment. And my staff is working pretty much one of their main things that they're doing these days is trying to help people out with unemployment. So if you're having trouble with unemployment, I encourage you to call my office at 608-266-0455, or if you have questions on any of these new programs that were just rolled out by the governor this week, feel free to give us a call. We're certainly open for business, and trying to make sure that we help as many people as we can in the process. So don't hesitate to call. We'll certainly do all we can. And Jason, once again, thanks for having me on, and we'll talk to you next week.